see if I got this. All right. We're almost done. We're almost done. We're almost done. We're almost done. We're still talking about why worrying, but we've looked at a lot of things about what worry really does to us. We looked at the outcome of worry. We looked at the whole scenario of how worrying really takes us away from God's assignment for our lives and causes us to focus on what the world says we need to focus on. And anytime we begin to focus on what the world says we need to focus on, we tend to forget about what God said. We tend to forget about what God's called us to do. We tend to forget about our primary purpose for being here in the earth. So today, I promise you, I'm not going to be long. I should have let, what I should have did was let Lolita Godfrey teach this lesson. Because this was going to be in her wheelhouse. Today we want to talk about a simple fact that worry is turned into manifestation with our words, not our thoughts. We can think all day long, but that thought has no life until we speak words to it. So the moment we take that thought and we begin to speak words to that thought now becomes life. Now we got to deal with it. And the only way we begin to deal with it, we got to come all the way back over here and look at, okay, it started out as a thought. And that's all it was. But it did not become life till I said something. So now I got to figure out, what did I say to really give this worry life? Because if I can figure out what I said to give worry life, now I know what I can say to kill it. And we oftentimes don't take account of our words. We it's just human nature. There's no other way to say it. This is human nature. We all conversate. We all talk. But we never really think about or pay attention to what is it we're actually saying. One of the things God taught me a long time ago was, son, this is exactly what he said, son. I can't put heaven to work on your behalf when you're really not saying what you mean. And I thought, but I am saying what I mean. He said, no, you're hinting at what you mean, but you're not saying exactly what you mean. You say all the time, God, I need this, but your heart is saying that is a byproduct of the job you want. And I started thinking about, wait. So what are you saying? And he simply said, when we talk direct and not dance around the bush, we're more inclined to stay in line with what God has called us to do. And what we tend to do, and it's human nature, I mean, we do it all the time. We talk to people, and then we sit back and think, now what are they really trying to say? What is it you really want to say? What does that really mean? Instead of just saying, okay, if it's red, it's red. If it's green, it's green. If it's up, it's up. If it's down, it's down. We try to be politically correct. And in being politically correct, we miss out on, you're not going to get it, don't worry about it. Just put service back in. You're not going to get it, don't worry about it. We miss out on getting that direct line to God. Well, okay, now God, this is exactly what I want. I want a chocolate brown Chevy Colorado, leather interior, tinted windows, electric, alloy rims. I mean, being specific. Because what we fail to understand, you know, we've got it twisted because the world got us thinking that the devil's in the details. The devil's not in the details. God's in the details, because if you look at everything God's ever said in the Word, we can go to Genesis. He was specific. He was very detailed in creation. So if he was very detailed in creation, that lets us know that when we go to God, we need to be extremely detailed. We need to get it down to its microscopic amount, its microscopic dot, as low as we can get it, as full as we can get it with God. That way, when we start talking, we're not dancing around the bush, and then this come in our lives and like, that ain't what I wanted. It's close, but it's not that. Well, you weren't direct. So we have to understand, worrying is only turned into a thing when we speak life to it. Watch this. We're still in Matthew chapter 6. We're going to look at verses 31 and 32 today. We're not going to go back and look at the whole thing. We're just going to pick up at verses 31, 32. The whole thing is Matthew 6 and what? Okay. The whole thing is Matthew 6, 19 through 34. So we're almost there. Matthew 6, 31 and 32 says this. Therefore, do not worry, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For after all these things, the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things. Now watch this. It's interesting. He says, Jesus was specific. He says, listen, don't worry about what you're going to eat. Don't worry about what you're going to put on. Don't even worry about what you're going to drink. Now watch this. This is interesting. First of all, let me tell you about Pastor D. I don't go to the beach because I don't want to see all that. I don't. Lived in Florida a couple of years, and everybody can't wear a bathing suit, even men. Everybody can't do that. I don't need to see all of that. So imagine if you will, going to work and ain't nobody got no clothes on. So why would he say, don't worry about what you're going to put on? Here's the truth of the matter. You ain't going outside but birthday suit. So why are you concerned about what you're going to put on? We know you're going to put on some clothes. Now, if you were in Francis Lewis's house, you could wear holy shirts, holy socks, holy shorts in the house all day long. But the moment you talk about mama finna go outside and play, wait, where you going? I'm going outside. You sure about that? Yeah, I'm going outside. No. You ain't about to embarrass me. You better come in here and change them clothes. Now watch this. We think it's a small task. But God says, what you gonna wear ain't important. It got to a point where I got to Grambling. And God brought this all back to my remembrance. I started saying for a whole semester, I ain't care about dressing. And I got up in the morning and said, okay, God, what am I putting on today? Because if you don't tell me what I'm putting on, I'm getting back in my bed. I got a 7 o'clock class. I ain't got time to think about what I'm finna put on. I know I'm putting on something. So if you don't say, I'm getting back in my bed. So for a whole semester, at 6 o'clock, God, get me up. Okay, go to the closet, pull this out the closet, pull these shoes out, and go into class. So then he says, watch this. Then he drops down and he says, this is what got me. Don't be concerned, what the Bible says. Don't be concerned about what you're going to eat. Huh? Wait a minute. My body can go so many days without eating unless you're aggressive. Now, if you're aggressive, you got to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you ain't going to have no small breakfast, no small lunch, no small dinner. You're going to have a big breakfast, big lunch, and big dinner. Eating is overrated. But if you're saying, wait a minute, Jesus, help me out now. Now, if you're saying, don't eat, don't be concerned about what I'm eating. All right, let's bring it over into to today. Where did we go? Where were we at? Whole Foods. We were at Whole Foods. We went in Whole Foods, and I promise y'all, I ain't lying. Was it a square peach? We went in Whole Foods, and I picked up a square peach. Now, first thing come to mind was, they done lost their mind. I saw the video where folk in China was putting fruit inside of center blocks so they could get the shape of the center block. And I thought, why y'all messing with stuff? Because growing up, I never in my life saw a square peach. So now we got square peaches. Growing up, my uncle had a watermelon farm. So every time we went to his house, we came back with 6, 7 watermelons. Big, huge watermelons with real seeds. Now I go in the grocery store to try to find a watermelon, seedless watermelon. It ain't real. So he says, don't worry about what you're going to eat. But when you think about today, I got to think about what I'm eating. First of all meat, and what y'all put in there? You know, then they came out and said, what is it? Organic, meaning it was naturally grown. Now, everything in the grocery store says organic, and you know just by looking at it, you ain't grow that. So, we started a garden, and you know, my wife she's just that curious person. She knows it, y'all. She ain't curious, she knows it. She grew cucumbers, we grew squash, we grew collard greens, we grew kale, we grew spinach, we grew lettuce. She had every herb you could think of that she don't even cook with. We got 2 big old huge plants, basil plants now, and they just growing wild. But here's the thing. Took collard greens out of our garden and compared collard greens to the greens we bought in the store. They didn't taste the same. They were the same. Collard greens out of the store, collard greens out of our garden. They didn't taste the same. The ones out of the garden were naturally sweet. The ones that we bought in the store was bitter. But Jesus says, don't worry about what you're eating. Then he comes down and he says, don't even worry about what you're going to drink. Okay. Florida has this problem. Well, let's say they had it was real bad over 10 years ago when they first started fracking. Fracking is where you crack open the rock bed of the earth to get the gas, to get natural gases out and use the natural gas. Well, what some communities began to find out where they were fracking was they would turn on their water faucet and nothing but gas. The water smelled straight gas. One guy turned on his water faucet, took a match to see if it was gas or not, and put a match under the faucet, and it caught fire. So, but I can't worry about what I drink. My mentor, he was taking a group of us to Mexico. I ain't go. God said I couldn't go. He was taking a group of us to Mexico. The first thing he taught us, don't drink the water. And I was curious, wait a minute. That's Mexico. What do you mean don't drink the water? Don't drink the water. He had the first 3 rules. Number 1, don't drink the water. Number 2, don't drink the water. And if you forget number 2, go back to number 1. Don't drink the water. Number 3, don't drink the water. If you forget number 3, go back to number 2. Don't drink the water. So there had to be something wrong with the water, but Jesus says, don't worry about what you drink. Here's the whole scenario. Don't worry about what you're going to wear. Don't worry about what you're going to drink. Don't worry about what you're going to eat. Why? That ain't our responsibility. The Bible says a good father lays up treasures and an inheritance for his children's children. So God is the perfect example of a good father. So if he's a perfect example of a good father, that means he's got to provide every single thing I need. He's my source. He's going to give me my food. He's going to give me my clothing. He's going to give me what I need to drink. All I got to do is trust him. So why am I over here? You know, I promise you, every day in my house, if it ain't her, it's me. What we gonna eat? And watch this. It ain't just my house. It's every house in America. What we eating today? But Jesus says, don't worry about what you're going to eat. There's food in my freezer. There's food in my refrigerator freezer. There's even leftovers in the refrigerator. Why am I talking about what I'm going to eat? We spend time focusing on things that are not important that we have made important. Because the truth of the matter is, what I got on can't stop Donald from going to heaven or hell. It may confuse him. It may create a stumbling block for him, but it can't stop him. What I'm eating can't stop him. What I drink can't stop him. When I first committed to God, one of the things I had this twisted understanding of Christianity, this twisted understanding of what Christianity was all about. And when I was sitting them in those pastoral meetings and everybody laughing about something that happened at church, I'm over here angry. I'm like, ain't that funny about that? What you should have did was went and talked to the person. But you making a joke about it, what's funny? And for about 2 years, some of my best friends got together. I found out later in life. They got so tired of me being angry about stuff that wasn't important, they got together and started saying, okay, we're going to find every little thing that pushes his button, and every time he comes around, we're going to push that button, we're going to push that button, and we're going to start making fun of him. So for about 2 years, that's all they did. It took 2 years for God to get me focused off of what was not important to get me focused on what was important. All because the world had trained me to consider what was not important and make it important, and what was important to put it aside. So all Jesus is saying here, listen, don't be consumed with stuff that doesn't matter. Be more consumed with your soul and where your soul will end up. Will it end up in heaven? Will it end up in hell? Be more concerned about what you're doing and the people around you. How is your life affecting the people around you? Because the truth of the matter is, my mom used to say it all the time, birds of a feather flock together. She set me and my best friend down one day because we was finna go ride. She said, first thing came out of her mouth, which one of y'all got a girl pregnant? I'm like, what you talking about? We just riding. No, y'all up to something. I know you and I know him. If he with you, that means he just like you. Because birds of a feather always flock together. And I didn't understand that till I got older in age. And then I begin to look, wait. If I want to know my future, look at the people I hang around. Because the people I hang around, if they're not going anywhere, I'm not going anywhere. If they're not doing anything, I'm not doing anything. If they're living a haphazard, unsuccessful, unproductive, unintentional life, I'm living the same life. And I'm doing what they're doing all because I want to be a part of that group. So I begin to learn and I begin to understand that my words can change everything. So while I'm over here and I started looking, I'm like, listen. My reputation in high school was so bad that when I got kicked out of Booker T, spent a year in alternative school, couldn't graduate on time. The following year had to go to Fair Park. Principal called me in the office first day I walked on campus before I ever walked into the building. He had people at the door looking for me. And I'm trying to figure out, I ain't never seen you in my life. How you know what I look like? He has a picture on his desk with a big old folder like this. Open up. Principal Antoine want to see you. I just got here. I ain't did nothing. I ain't talked to nobody. I know people here, but I ain't talked to nobody. I ain't said nothing. I mean, I'm just telling this person, I ain't did nothing. I just walked through the door. Principal Antoine wants to see you. I go to Principal Antoine's office. He sits me down. He says, son, you're a senior. You were supposed to graduate last year. but you ain't graduated last year. Not that you're not smart, not that you're dumb. Something wrong. He picked up this file. He closed it. I promise you I had a file like that. This is all he said. I don't want no issues. I have already warned every one of your teachers. He'd do anything. He gone. I said, so I don't get a second chance? You already got me marked? So I got to walk around your hall on tiptoes? So I don't understand. How am I supposed to manage? I mean, we had a nice conversation. How am I supposed to manage my second chance at graduating when I got to be so concerned, so worried about if I say the wrong thing, I'm gone. If I accidentally bump into somebody, I'm gone. He said, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you do anything. And I'm like, well, that's not making any sense because anything is anything. If I ask a question in class and the question comes out wrong, that's anything. Yep. So you want me to walk around my senior year on eggshells? No, I want you to enjoy it. Now, I'm 17. I ain't done, but I can't figure that out. How am I supposed to enjoy a second opportunity to graduate when I got to be careful, super careful about what I say, what I do, where I go, who I hang with? I had what he didn't know. That summer, I spent the entire summer programming myself. You ain't fighting. You're not throwing a desk. You're not fighting security guards. You're not throwing a book. No matter what anybody says to you, you're going to walk away. A whole summer in the mirror, you're going to do do-do-do-do-do-do-do. You're not going to do ba 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 ba. My mama thought I was losing my mind. I go to lunch, sit at a table by myself. Friends come sit at the table with me. We talk. People come sit at the table I don't know, I get up and I leave. Why? Because I have already made up my mind that I'm graduating. We get to graduation. Senior last day. He calls me in the office again. I'm like, I ain't did nothing. Nobody wrote me up. I already had one referral all year. Why am I being called to the office? Mr. Hill, I'm looking at the graduation list and everybody that has ordered their stuff, but you hadn't ordered a cap and gown. You hadn't been to any other senior meetings. And when I look at your form, you say you're not going to march. I don't want to march. This ain't my graduating class. My graduating class was 83. No, son, you got to march. No disrespect, Principal Antoine, I'm not marching. He called my mama. He said, Miss Lewis, I got your son in the office. First thing she say, what he done now? He say, no, ma'am, no, he ain't done nothing, He has not caused any problems all year. I have not had one referral on him. I called you because he just told me he's not going to march. So now I'm sitting in his office and first thing running through my mind, I done something wrong. I'm right at the end And he's going to mess it up for me because I don't want to graduate. And I listen to the conversation. Conversation goes on for about 5 minutes. Then out of his mouth says, ma'am, listen, I want to pay for his cap and gown. Because he made a complete turnaround. And he needs to be rewarded. My mama said, okay, pay for the cap and gown. He said, you heard your mama? Yeah, I heard. I still ain't marching. I won't march. She started fussing. I said, mama, when she finished, because, you know, back then, when mamas are fussing, daddy's fussing, you can't talk when they talking. You get hit in the mouth. So I sat there and I waited. I said, mama, I really don't want to march. It ain't that important. Just give me my diploma. That's all I want. Because I need to prove to people that said I wasn't, I did. Just give me the paper. She stopped talking to me and she told him, buy the cap and gown. Don't tell him when the next meeting is. Don't tell him when practice is. Call me and tell me. He'll be there. Why? Because when we blow things up, and we start worrying about all of this stuff that's not important, I was consumed with the fact I did not understand what reputation was until my second year of 12th grade. Because my second year of 12th grade, my reputation was so bad, they were watching me at football games, basketball games. I'm like, am I a criminal? I couldn't have been that bad. And my best friend said, listen, dude, I ain't trying to bust your bubble. You know why you ain't had that many fights at Booker T? Everybody thought you were crazy. The day you threw that desk, everybody in the building said, don't mess with him. I ain't throw a desk at nobody but the kid. Did I not? Now, here's my defense now. I said, did I not tell that kid first time, leave me alone? Did I not tell the teacher the second time? The third time, did I not tell her and him? He say, one more thing to me. I don't care if it's excuse me, I'm going to throw this desk at him. Yeah, I mean. And I'm out of control because I'm an angry teenager. And my mom kept asking me, what are you angry about? And my reply was, I ain't mad at nothing. No, you got to be angry at something. It was so bad. It was so bad that me and my brother could not be at my mom's house at the same time until I got married. It was just that bad. Christmas time come around, we have dinner. Okay, you got to go to your room. Don't you come out that room. See, I wasn't crazy enough to argue and fight with my mom, because when I got kicked out of Booker T, that woman stood here. And I was way back there in the sound booth, took a hammer, threw the hammer at me, and if I wouldn't have ducked, that hammer would have hit me in the head. I looked at the door, it was a hole in the wall. I'm like, I ain't say a word. What could I say? All I did was just got up and was headed to the kitchen. And she just standing there looking with a hammer in her hand. And the next thing I know, that hammer come flying. I called my sister. I say, that woman just threw a hammer at me. She hung the phone up on me. Called my other sister. You gonna come get me? This woman just threw a hammer at me. She hung the phone up on me. I'm like, this woman gonna kill me and y'all don't care? Really? Y'all just gonna let her kill me, and I'm calling y'all to come get me, because I ain't said nothing. I ain't done nothing. When we, watch this. When we start making things that are not important important so we can gain status, we can gain access to certain circles, we can gain those connections, or what they call it now, that networking to advance. God's sitting over here saying, you're doing all of that? I'm the only network you need. I got your promotion right here. They can't give you what I can give you. They can't do for you what I'm going to do for you. They can't take you where I'm going to take you. But we're over here because we have been trained that you got a network. You need this education. You need that degree. You need this degree. You need this. You need that. You need that. You need this. And if we think about this country and where we have come from, why do we have to have all of these degrees now when the people that built this country didn't have them degrees? And I find it interesting that you can be on a job, working that job for 10 years, and they hire a manager over you that don't know half of what you know. So they got to come to you. How you do this? What would you do about this? And I'm looking like, you're the manager. Why are you asking me? All because he has a degree and I don't. They deem him, watch this, because you have this great degree behind you. You're deemed qualified. But over here, when God qualifies you, nobody can tell you you're not qualified. When God puts his stamp of approval on you, nobody can tell you you're not approved. They can think and they can say whatever they want to think and whatever they want to say, but over here, you got the answer. You got the answer to their problem. You got the answer to their condition. You got the answer to their situation. You can fix the problem. I like talking to Donald because we sit down and we talk about, or we'll stand around talking, and we'll talk about these, what everybody claims to be these big problems, but the answer be so small that ain't nobody thinking about that answer. But if we don't change, here we go now. I'm going to run through a couple of scriptures real quick. If we don't change what we're saying, we'll never stop the worrying. Because what I'm saying gives life to my thought of failure. But I can't fail. I'm in the kingdom of God. How can I fail? Because I've changed my thinking that, God, if I fail, it ain't my fault, it's your fault. Oh. If I go down, God, it ain't my fault, it's your fault. Because you said you meet all my needs. You said you'll protect me. You said you'll give me every desire. You said, if I am willing and obedient. God, I'm willing and obedient. Here I am. So why am I over here worrying about something that God can take care of? Watch this. Turn to Proverbs 18, 20, and 21. Proverbs 18, 20, and 21. 18, 20, and 21. Proverbs 18, 20, and 21. This is the only scripture I'm going to read, and then I'm going to stop. I promise you I'm going to stop. All right. We're going to read this together. We're going to read verses 20 and 21. 18, 20, and 21. I know everybody may have a different translation, that's okay, but I want you to read what's in your translation. Ready? 1, 2, 3, read. A man's stomach shall be satisfied from the fruit of his mouth, and from the produce of his lips he shall be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. I don't need to say nothing else. Y'all ready to go? I don't need to say nothing else. How plain? It don't get any plainer. It doesn't. If you want to be satisfied, what I got to do? Pay attention to what I'm saying. If I want to be fulfilled in life, what do I have to do? Pay attention to what I'm saying. If I want to be successful, what do I have to do? Pay attention to what I'm saying. Real quick example. Rose came to me back. Rose, we sat down and talked somewhere between 95 and 99. She came and she said, you know what? I want to make $60,000 a year. I was like, okay, you can do that. Just find a job that's making $60,000 a year. No, I don't want to change job. I want this job to pay me $60,000 a year. I was like, okay, that's a lot of praying. We got to do some praying. And she came up, it was her heart was so consumed with making that $60,000 a year that God gave her a plan, simple plan. I never would have thought of this in all my life. She came back and she said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to tithe like I'm already making $60,000 a year. This was in halfway through the year. And she started tithing like she was making $60,000 a year. She was tithing, giving $1 here, $2 there. This is her. Because we ain't had nothing. She gave what she had. I gave what I had. But she was tithing like she was making $60,000 a year. Here's the interesting part. The house never missed it. Nothing went without. It didn't even feel like she was sowing that kind of money. She was giving that kind of money. We get to the end of the year, the following year, go get our taxes done. And the lady said, y'all know y'all made $100,000 this year? Both of us said at the same time, where the money went. Did you add that up correctly? Y'all made $100,000 a year. It's right here. You made $60,000 a year. I wanted to jump out my seat. I'm like, wait a minute. For half a year, she's beginning to sow seed. She gave tithing as if she had $60,000 a year. From a half a year, and the following year, she ends up making $60,000 a year. Even to this day, I have no idea how much money I make. I don't focus on money, but I focus on my assignment. It used to be, I didn't even know how much money was in my bank account until my wife said, listen, you're going to start knowing what's in your bank account. Because if you don't know what's in your bank account, you don't know what you got access to. And I'm like, ouch. If I want to be satisfied, I got to pay attention to what I'm saying. Because worry only manifests when I put words to it. See, I told you could have did this. It only manifests when I put words to it. So the next, I promise you, watch this. Here's the warning. Somewhere, all right, God, I got it. Somewhere in the course of this week, something's going to come up in each of our lives that ain't important. It's going to seem important, It's going to look important. It's going to feel important. And it's going to be heavy. But it ain't important. It's only there to see what you're going to say. I have learned the art, if I can't say, if I don't know what to say, don't talk to me. Don't ask me how I'm doing. Don't ask me no questions. Don't put me in a conversation because I don't know how to respond to this thing just yet. All right, I'm telling you how to handle it. If you don't know the right response, say nothing. Even in conversations that don't have anything to do with the issue. Don't say nothing. You know, I'm good at, I'm good at, okay. Okay. Because I don't want to say the wrong thing. So if I'm saying, okay, it ain't about that issue. And the wrong thing can't come out my mouth. I'm quaint, I'm direct. It's yes or no answers. That's it. Because when we get quiet and refuse to comment or refuse to talk, when we're in that cloud that's hanging over us, everything that comes out of our mouth is attached to that cloud. And when it's attached to that cloud, you're not focused on the cloud, but the cloud now is beginning to formulate your words. So I can be worried about what I'm going to do over here, but then over here is what you're going to eat. And I don't know, I ain't got no money. I just fed the cloud. Or, I got to go to the store. What am I going to put on? I don't want to wear this. I don't want to wear that. I just fed the cloud. See, we have to remember, the devil is so cunning and tricky that he's it ain't a musician, what's the word? Magician, thank you. He's a magician. He causes you to see things that are not really there. So when you calm down and you get to a place where you can begin to almost ignore it, and a place where you can really get to God and say, God, how do I handle this? And then just sit back and let God answer. The hardest part is sitting back and letting God answer. That's the hardest part. Because now, you know, we live in a microwave society. And when we ask God a question, first thing is, God, I asked you, you ain't answered. What's up? I asked you this 6 o'clock this morning. It's 6 o'clock at night and you still ain't answered. So what's up? That's the hardest part. But here's the thing. The Bible says, wait, I say, on the Lord, wait. The reason for the waiting, is God has got to move all of the distractions out of your way that you can see clearly or see good enough the light at the end. Because here's the thing, if I see the light at the end, I can see my path. And I don't have to, for most people, because it's human nature, we like to see the full path. We don't want to see step 1, step 2, step 3. We don't want to see that. We want to see the full path, but why? Because if we see the full path, we got an idea where we're going. We don't see, all I got to do is make one step. And everything worked out. Now all I got to do is make the other step. But the process goes with every step I make, the pathway gets clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer, that at some point I get to see the end. I'm always seeing the light, but I don't always see the path. One of the reasons for the lighthouses is when the boat is out coming in to land, they can't see the roughness of the rocks, but they can see the light. So they know, take a stick, take a pole, because it's foggy, put a pole out, because somewhere between that light and this boat, there's a certain path we got to travel. And if we go the wrong way, we're going to hit a rock, sink the ship. So why sink the ship when all I got to do is be quiet. God, I trust you. Okay, everything worked out. God, I trust you. Okay, everything worked out. God, I trust you. Everything worked out. Trust God with every step, because if I trust God with every step, I end up in a place better than what I thought I would end up. But when I do it on my own, I might end up above it. But the truth of the matter is, I'm not in a better place. It's not dealt with. It's still there. I just brushed it under the rug. All right, I'm done. Stand up. Well, do me a favor. It's that time in our service where we all can get involved and we can begin to worship God in our tithes and our offering. Listen, God's house, it is operated and managed according to what you give, according to those tithes and offerings you give. God's never trying to get something from you. He's trying to get something to you. And we need to understand that. So